Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So basically, now today we are going to see that how we can do the synchronization using the lock function. Okay, lock is one type of function that we have in the threads, right? Under the threading module, we have this function which is lock. Now today we are going to see that how we use out this lock function for doing out the thread synchronization, for applying the synchronization threading. Right, this is the whole idea that we are gonna discuss today, right? So basically, let's get started here without wasting lot much time. Okay. So the very first thing is that I'm just going to make my threads, right? So in that case, basically what I need to do is that I need to import out the threading module, right? This is the very first step that I would actually do. Because here I'm dealing with the basically the threading, the thread I'm just going to make the thread. So in that case, we need to import out the threading module, right? So basically I would just write here import and here goes the threading. Okay, import threading. This is basically how we just write out the threading module. And under this threading module, we just use out the threads for writing out our program. Right now, after that, I would even import the time module because I'll be using the time module throughout my program to basically write out my code. Okay, so in that case, I'm importing the time as well, right? So here in this program, I'll be using out the classes and the functions. Okay, these are the two things that I'll be using here. So let's make a class here. So here I would define class, and let's see the name for my class. So let's say one. Okay, this is the name for my class, and into the bracket, I'll be making my thread. So the procedure is I'll be using my threading module, which I have imported above. Okay, I'll be putting a dot here, right? And after that, I'll be writing here threading dot and thread. Okay, so T would be capital for the thread like this. Okay, this is how I have made out my thread inside this class, that is one, right? Now moving towards the next things what I have. Again, I'll be using out this threading module and using the thread from this particular module and initializing it. Okay, but before that, let me just initialize the function that is def underscore underscore init. So here we go with this particular function, and into the bracket self will be passed. Now basically I'm just going to pass out the parameters which I want to be inside my function, right? I'll be passing out some arguments inside my function. So I'll be putting out a comma here, and let's say my first argument is id. Sorry, not id, let's say it is the marks. Okay, after that, let's say my another argument is name, and let's say my third argument is count. Let's say these are the three arguments which I actually have. Right now, basically, I'll be using here threading dot, and here will be my thread. Okay, threading dot thread, and into the okay, I'll just again put a dot here and just initialize it. So initializing procedures underscore underscore init, and into the bracket I'll be writing here the self. Right. This is the way how we just initialize out this thing, right? As I have just written out here. Right. Let me just come down. Fine. Now with the help of myself, I'll be accessing all of these things which I'm having here, right? So self dot marks. Okay, self dot marks is equal to marks. After that, it will be self dot name is equal to name, and after that, I'll be having self dot counter is equal to counter. Right, this is how actually we just initialize all the things. So this is how we just make out the variables and give the particular values to these variables. Right, that thing I have done here. Fine. Now, as we always know, and I've always repeated always this thing, that basically whenever we just make any function inside the class, or whenever we just want to run anything out inside that, we are passing something that we just want to print as an output. So that function name will always remain the name, that is run, run, right? Run. We always keep the function name this only. Right? So in that case, I just write here def, and here goes the run. Okay, and into bracket self will automatically be passed, right? Def run, and into the bracket it is self. Right, now basically what I'll be just doing is that I'll be writing here a print statement. Okay, so I'll be writing here the, okay, I will just write here the start, okay, so star, the starting name is, and here we put out a plus sign, and after this I'll be writing here self dot name. So as previously also I mentioned that if we just want, we can either use a print statement or we can even use the f strings as well, right? That totally depends on you, that what you want to use. So let's say previously I was using the f strings, now I have just used out the print statement, so as to show you that how to we can just write out the print statement and the f strings as well. Right, Now next thing that goes here is that now basically I'll be using one function, that is thread lock. Okay, thread lock dot, and here I'll be applying the acquire AC ACQUIRE, like this. Okay, this is the thing that I'm just writing here, threadlock dot acquire. Okay, this threadlock will be one of my functions which I'll be making downside. Okay, just do not worry for that. I'll be defining out a function with this name. Okay, then basically I'll be getting I'm defining out a variable with this name. At that place you'll be getting out this thing. Okay, so till that particular point it will be showing me this red line only. Okay, so like this. So now acquire is actually a function which we actually use when we want to, want to get logged the synchronized threads. Okay, when you want that the synchronized thread should be logged, so in that case basically we just use out this acquire. Okay, so I would just come on to the next line. Here I'll be again using out my printf statement. Okay, now I'll be writing out a function name. That function I'll be defining downside. Okay, so here would be declare, okay, that would be declare underscore time. Okay, like this, right? And let me just do one thing. Okay, first of all, let me remove out this one from here. And let me come down and define this function as well here only. So that is a def declared underscore time. Okay, this is how we'll be defining out this function. This is the same one. Okay, and simply I would pass it. Fine. Declare underscore time is defined now. Now you just got that what I was saying from declare underscore time. This is one of the functions which I'll be making downside. Okay, so into this I'll be just writing bracket. It would be basically self dot. Now basically what are the parameters? It was name. I was having self dot name. I was having self dot I was even having the counter, and even I was having the mark. So let's say that is 2. Okay, let's say that is 2. Fine, that is defined here. Now basically what I would just do, now I would free out the locks to release so that it can basically go on to the next thread. So basically first of all here when I just use out the acquire function, so it basically helped me to get the lock to synchronize the thread. Now I'll be using some another function, and that is basically the release function. So that is basically used for free lock to release next thread. Okay, so here basically I'll be just writing thread. Again I'll be just writing lock dot, and here I'll be writing the release like this. Okay, and I'll put out the bracket here. So these are the way, this is the use of the acquire one, and this is the use of the release one, right? I've just repeated both of them here. Fine. Now I'm just defining my function. So here I'll just write here def like this. Okay, right, so def declare time, this is basically my function. Let me just remove this out. Okay, I have already written that def. I just repeated that once again. Let me remove it from here. Fine. Okay, now let's write something inside this function and let's execute that. Basically what are we gonna write? Fine, so I'll be writing here. Okay, first of all inside this I'll be passing out my name. Okay, so which we had actually made here. So I'm just passing out here thread name. Okay, so that would be here thread and name. Okay, thread name. Okay, one parameter. Second parameter is my delay, and third parameter is my same, that is my counter. So these are the 3 parameters which I am having here. Okay, now I'll be applying a condition here that while counter. Okay, to apply a condition while counter. Okay, that till the time the counter will run. So here we applying time dot sleep, and into the bracket I'll be passing out the delay. Okay, it is not like this, it is del like this. Okay, this delay. Right, and now I'll be putting out my print statement. So print, and I'll be putting here %s colon %s. Okay, and I would again put a percent sign here, and now inside the bracket it will basically I'll be passing out again the same things which I passed above. Thread name, comma, that is time dot c time. Okay, and into the bracket time dot time. So it will basically help me to give the correct time which I am having right now. Right, so for that I've just mentioned this particular thing, and simply I would just write my counter is counter minus is equal to 1. So that means that counter is equal to counter minus 1. Right, that is completed. Now just go back here and define my thread lock which I have declared above. So thread and lock, this one. Okay, now just put a equal to sign here, And now basically what I would just do is that I would just assign some things, some values to it. Okay, so that will basically here, that will be thread, that will be threading dot and lock like this, and here the bracket, right? So this is actually how we just define out the thread lock. Okay, right, fine. Okay, now just come on to the next line basically. Now what I would be just, oh, okay, time. Okay, this time, fine. Now what I would be just doing here is that let me just first of all take it to the here, right? It's okay now. Now let me just come down, and here I'll be defining out the threads, and that will be here blank, right? Now I'll be creating out new thread. So let's say the new thread that I'll be creating is, let's say T1, one is my T1 and another will be my T2. Name for my class was 1, right? And inside that I'll be passing the values which I was having. So let's say marks are 21, and after that let's say name is let's say name is first thread. Okay, let's say this is the name, and after that what is the counter? Let's say counter is 1. Okay, after that I would just write T2, and the class name is again 1, and into the bracket let's say marks are 25. The name is the second, let's say name is the second thread, and basically let's have the counter that is 2, right? And now what I would be just doing is that I'd be starting out my threads here. Okay, so for starting out my threads basically I'd be just using out that particular names which I have made here. Okay, so that would be for me T1 dot start. Okay, T1 dot start, and then the bracket. After that it would be T2 dot start, and again the bracket, right? And now basically I'll be adding the threads to the list which I have made above, right? So in that case I'll be using threads dot append, and in the bracket T1. Okay, again I'll be doing the same thing, that is threads, like so threads dot append, and again in the bracket it would be T2. Okay, let me write out the correct spelling, THR, and here goes the E, right? That is also done. Now basically I'll be applying out my for loop for basically for all the threads to complete, right? So for that my for loop goes for, let's say T, for T in threads I'll be putting out this, and it is T dot join and the bracket. And at last I just want to print out a statement that that main thread is finished, right? So let's say this is the whole program which I have written here. I would just run it once first of all. Okay, let me quickly run that out here. Fine. Okay, so it is and it is required got built-in type or function or method. Okay, let's see that basically what it is actually saying to us. What's the line number? Let's see our line number also, line number 19. Okay, let me just close this out here, and the terminate one, and go above. Okay, now move on to the line number 19 which we have written, and where is that one? Fine. Okay, let me just see that what actually we have done. So %s colon %s is done, right? That is absolutely correct here. And after that basically right here. Okay, now basically I just need to give the space first of all, right? This, okay, this is done. Again the space for my %sign. Okay, now let me take the cursor to the other side. So thread name is, okay, thread name comma C dot time. Okay, where are my brackets? I just missed out the bracket here. Fine. Now let me run it once again. Right here, so now it is basically giving me my answer, right? That the threading is first thread, then after some time it is giving me the answers, right? Because of the time which we have given above, right? Because we had set out the counter. So first thread Thursday, June 24, and this is the time. Then second thread this particular time, third thread this particular time, and fourth thread this particular time, right? And the main thread after this is finished. So the first thread is starting, at the second time is the threading name, the starting name is second thread, and all of these things run, right? Basically I hope that you have got a clear and a fair idea that how we now use out the lock function in the threading. Basically when we just try to do a synchronization using the threads, so how we just use that with the help of the lock function, right? We'll be stopping up here. We'll be coming up with more new questions and some more practice for the synchronization, right? So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care.